Well, this here is the all-new Kia Carens, and this car shares its platform with the Kia Seltos and also with the Hyundai Creta / Alcazar. Now, this car is the longest car in terms of the wheelbase in its segment, which means that interior space is going to be quite good. But we'll get into the interiors, the features, and all those details in a bit. Let me just tell you, this car is not an SUV; it's an MPV. So Kia is focusing on the MPV formula, but in terms of the looks and the road presence, it looks like an SUV, doesn't look like an MPV at all. So that's a big strength and a big plus point already in favor of the Kia Carens. Woodmore are the online expert when it comes to spare parts, and the best point is that they have the spare parts for all vehicles available in India. So even if your car is out of production now, maybe you have a large generation model, even then they have the spare part available. They have the entire catalog, and the best point is that they have the same spare part from a host of different component makers, which gives you great flexibility in the pricing overall. So check them out today. Check out the app. It's available both for iOS as well as Android devices. So let's quickly talk about the looks of this car before beginning. On the front end, you might say, well, it's a very busy looking front end. You get this Kia badge, the new design of Kia, and you get this completely blackened out grille over here. So this is something which is very new, and you also get a nice chrome strip in the middle running from end to end from the headlamps right across. So gives you a posh look of the car. Lots of elements inside, projector headlamps of course, but lots of elements, and the bumper also is very busy. Chrome of course on it, and lots of elements on that as well. Some of you might say that the front end looks a little over busy, a little overdone, but this is really the look of the new generation of Kia cars internationally. Even the EV6 has a very similar looking profile in international markets. It's not like the Sonnet, which looks very boxy and very square, but it has a lot of cuts and a lot of creases. If you move on to the side profile, immediately what you'll notice is that this car is running on 16-inch wheels, which is quite good. And of course, it's 205 by 65 R16 tires, so decent profile, good contact patch with the road. Again, if you look over here, lots of cuts and creases. The headlamp unit really is massive, and this of course is the indicator unit integrated nicely with the headlamp treatment. On the side profile, if you move on to the side, you'll notice the girth of the car. It's a very massive kind of wheelbase, and you can see the second door is really large, which means that the emphasis that Kia is giving on this car is on the treatment to the second row passengers as well as the passenger at the back, because getting in and out of this car will be quite easy because of this huge aperture. As you can see, it's a very wide opening door, and the aperture also is quite nice and big. Talking about the aperture and talking about the other parts of the car, you can see that there's chrome elements here as well on the windowsill, and the waistline is slightly rising towards the end, so you get a very small window at the back. We'll check out from the rear seats if this window does hamper the overall appeal from the back end or the last row, but we'll get into that at the end of the video. Again, if you move on to the side, the rear profile also is very busy. Lots of chrome on the bumper, huge chrome strip. The middle part or the tail lamp part is joined by this beam, which is again a typical Kia design. We've seen it on the Sonnet, and if you see the back end Kia logo, again huge logo, Carens written over here, and again it's a very prominent looking back end. It's a very massive design, so lots of road presence in terms of the looks as well as the overall silhouette of this car. What do you think of the looks? You can let me know in the comment section below. I think it looks very different. It's different from the usual. It's not your typical SUV or MPV design. It's a nice mix of practicality of an MPV because of this large door as well as the strong road presence of an SUV. I think people are going to like it, especially people who are sophisticated and live in urban societies and urban surroundings like we are standing in today. Now let's jump inside the car and talk about the interiors of the new Carens. Well, so let's quickly talk about the Kia Carens interiors, and I have to say that Kia has clearly outdone itself when it comes to the quality of the cabin. This car is better than the Seltos, the Sonnet, as well as its closest rivals when it comes to sheer quality levels. Everything is made from absolutely first-rate materials, and this being the top-of-the-line version, You of course get this sunroof, you get the Bose sound system, you get this massive touchscreen which comes of course with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and inbuilt navigation as well. You also get cool front seats, you get 360 camera, you also get this park assist feature, and you get two USB ports. There's a Type C and there's the old school USB port. So if you're using a new generation phone, you can always plug in your Type C, and of course if you have an old phone or you still prefer to connect with the old USB, you also have that option over here. And of course, as I said, lots of things which make a big presence in the cabin, and it's a small details which really you'll appreciate. Apart from the cool front seats and the different driving modes, and of course the downhill brake control, you also get these small water bottle holders on this corner, and you get a small card holder on this corner just above the AC vent. So that's something which is a nice and nifty touch. Traction control also is standard, multiple airbags on this version, and of course as I said, the quality is simply mind-blowing. What you'll also like is the digital instrument cluster. It looks nice and premium and doesn't look overtly done. A lot of cars these days seem to overtly style their cabins, but this one has a very nice and classy feel about itself. The seat comfort also is quite good, and the best point is that apart from the seat comfort, you also get adjustment for both the rake as well as for reach on the steering wheel, which really does make a big difference when it comes to overall driver comfort. Overall, a nice and pleasant place to be in. Black, beige and silver elements really work very well, and the AC controls also with their toggle type design look very nice and very premium. I'll give the interiors of this car a strong score of 9 out of 10. Now let's jump in the back seat and see how good that really is. Well, so I'm in the second row of the Carens now, and in terms of space over here, there's plenty of space. You can't really fault the seat comfort also. You sit at a nice 90-degree angle between your hip and knees, so there's no issues in terms of the comfort. You can also slide the seats forward and take them all the way back, and you can also recline the backrest angle by pressing this button over here and move it a little up ahead, or take it back all the way in case there's nobody at the back, and you can just relax over here. You also get this huge blind, and you can always remove it. And talking about huge, the window also over here is huge. It's raising a little bit, but it's quite okay. Because of this window, you get a nice and airy feel inside the cabin. A lot of blue elements on the door panel and the backrest of the seat over here, and also a little bit of beige and blue combination. So it works very well inside the cabin. As I said before, this car doesn't feel like an extended version of the Seltos. It feels like a miniature version of the Kia Carnival. It really is that good in terms of comfort. Control over here for the AC, and of course the AC vents are over here on the roof, which is also nice and nifty touch. Couple of charging ports, and you get Type C charging ports over here, not the old school USB. That's also a nice touch, and the floor panel is also completely flat, so whoever sitting over here has plenty of place to stretch his knees. Overall, 9 out of 10 to the second row seats. And before I forget, you can always take this table out over here, sit over here and enjoy your beverage. And on this side you can't do it because this side has the smart pure air purifier inside the car. Anyways, full marks to Kia for giving you an excellent backseat experience. Now getting in the last row of seats is a very breezy affair. You don't have to use your muscles, you don't have to put your back into it, you don't have to do anything at all. It's as simple as pressing a button, and you just press this button over here, and Kia is providing you with the electric operation for the seat. So you just press that button, it folds on its own, and you just get inside like a breeze. Also very wide aperture, as you can see. There's a huge gap between the floor panel, the seat and this panel over here, so getting in and out is really a very breezy affair. Now let's cut and then again see you when I'm jump in the last row of seats. Well, so I'm in the last row now of the Kia Carens. Now this seat, the middle row, the backrest angle has been moved almost to the full front position. If I move it to the full back position, then I really don't have too much knee room, but if I move it on the midway position, then I've got just about decent space. So this car, the last row of seats, just like any other 7-seater, is meant really for people who are of average height of about 5'6" or 5'5" or 5'7" maybe. But if you're about 5'9", 5'8", 5'10", then knee room could be a bit of an issue over here. But you can of course move the backrest angle a little bit. You can move it up or you can move it down, so that's a saving grace. And what's also good about this seat is that you get your own AC vents at the back, your own dedicated vents, you get your own light over here, you get a decent window. But the good point is you get Type C charging point for both the passengers, your own beverage holder and your own place to keep your odds and ends like a cell phone or maybe an iPad device. So in terms of practicality, it's quite good. In terms of knee room, I'd say it's just about average and at par with its other rivals at this price point. Yes, if you're about 5'6", you'll be okay in these seats. if you're any weight taller than that, 5'7" or 5'8", you'll prefer to sit in the second or the first row of seats. Anyways, now let's have a quick look at the boot and then get to the driving bits. Well, so let's quickly show you the boot space on this car. Now with all the rows up, as you can see, the space is decent. It's not bad. You can still accommodate a couple of big bags here. If you have, maybe one more bag to adjust, you can remove this shelf over here and there's still some space over here. So you can easily use this part also of the car, and you can adjust maybe one more extra bag inside the car, and that's something which a lot of buyers will appreciate. What you'll also appreciate is the fact that if you want to use it as a 5-seater, maybe a 6-seater, you can individually drop these seats down and you can get plenty of place. If you drop this one also down, you get a completely flat loading area, which means that you can easily heave in those big boxes, those big bags, and take them out without any fuss. Now the loading floor is a little high because this is an MPV. SUVs and MPVs by nature have high set floors, so in that sense it is decent. But as I said, nice and spacious place to be, wide aperture, wide opening door. So even the biggest of big boxes, maybe if you're transporting an air conditioning unit, it can go in this car without any issues whatsoever. In terms of practicality and space, the Kia Carens is double thumbs up. Well, so here I am driving the Kia Carens now, and this is the diesel version that we're driving today. Now this car, remember, comes with a 1.5 diesel engine. There's also a petrol engine on offer, but today at the moment we're driving the diesel. Now this engine is a tried and tested engine when it comes to overall refinement, reliability, as well as fuel efficiency. And it's the same diesel engine which you also see on the Seltos. We've seen this engine for the last almost 3 years now, 2.5 years. And it's the same engine which you also see on the Sonnet and also on the Hyundai range of cars. So the Venue and the Creta have the same engine, and as I said, it's already proven itself as a good engine in terms of overall refinement as well as reliability. So those are areas where you don't have to worry about anything on this car. What you will like about this car is the fact that the engine is quite noise free. It's a very refined engine, and Hyundai Kia diesel engines are quite good in that regard. So even when you're revving it on the highway, speeds are increasing and you're revving it up to maybe around 2,500-3,000 RPM, the cabin remains largely isolated, and it's a good cabin in that sense because there's no wind noise, there's no tire noise, there's no noise from the suspension. This car's cabin feels very well cocooned as well from the outside world, which is a good thing because this is a long distance kind of a car, and buyers will appreciate that kind of an effort that Kia has put into the cabin overall. Now in terms of performance, it is quite adequate, more than adequate in fact, in terms of the overall engine and gearbox. You get a 6-speed automatic that I'm driving at the moment, and you can use paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, and the paddle shift also works quite well. It is a decent gearbox in that regard as well. So no complaints, because the 6-speed unit does work and help improve the flexibility of the engine. So when you're on the highway doing 80 or 90 kph, which are legal speeds on most highways, the engine is speeding at a relatively low RPM of about 1900-2000 RPM, which is decent and well within acceptable limits. And noise levels, as I said, are always under control. One area where this car truly does excel is overall in the ride comfort. If you are someone who drives a lot on broken patches of road, badly patched up roads, then you will definitely feel very impressed inside this car because it just soaks in the bumps and potholes very well, and that's largely due to the relatively long wheelbase of this car. This car has quite a long wheelbase, and that helps absorb a lot of those bumps and potholes and badly patched up roads without any fuss. And it's only the worst of worst ruts in the road that enter the cabin, and that also only happens once in a while. On the whole, the suspension is quite good. Even at faster speeds, the suspension soaks in the bumps quite well, and as I said, there is not much which allows this car to feel trouble or disturbs you in terms of the comfort. So in that sense, it is quite a good package. Now in terms of steering wheel responsiveness, it is quite good and it is acceptable because this, remember, is an MPV at the end of the day. So MPVs aren't really known for their handling and their agility and stuff like that. SUVs are known for that, some of them, not all of them. So the handling is decent and it is at par with other rivals at this price point. But if you want the feelsomeness to be improved, if you want the acceleration to be improved, the engine and gearbox to become a little more aggressive, you can always use the driving modes over here, and you can change from the comfort setting to the sport setting. And once you do that, the engine and gearbox do become aggressive, and also the steering wheel becomes a little more weightier, it becomes a little more heavier, so that also adds weight, and you just feel a little more sportiness in the steering wheel. Yes, when you do push into corners, there is definitely a pronounced roll in the body, and you have to slow down sometimes because you just don't want to to feel that kind of body roll. So that is something which a lot of buyers might think about. But as I said, it is an MPV, it's not an SUV or a hatchback or maybe even a sedan. Overall, I'll give this car's driving dynamics and driving ability a decent score of 8 out of 10. Well, so overall, if you're in the market for a 7-seater car, then this is a very good option for you. Don't think of it as a regular option to SUVs and MPVs. Think of it as a miniature version or a downsized version of the Kia Carnival. If you're in the market for a Carnival but think that 30 odd lakh rupees or 35 odd lakh rupees is too much of a price for that car, you don't always need that kind of seating capacity, then this is a great option for you. You get the same kind of ride comfort, the same kind of engine refinement both from the diesel and the petrols, and of course you also get the same kind of feature-rich cabin. It's a very high-end premium cabin, and you'll always have a nice and luxurious and positive feel about it when you enter the cabin and sit in it with your entire family. So as I said, it's not your typical alternative 7-seater SUVs and MPVs. It really is a downsized or a miniature version of the Carnival. And if you check this car at a Kia dealership, I'm sure you'll agree with my verdict. Thanks so much guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed watching it, then please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to leave a comment before leaving this channel. So bye for now, and thanks so much for watching.